Hello and welcome to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno, lead writer for UCLA Bruins on SI. And today we're coming off an incredible win for UCLA over number 7 ranked Penn State. Absolutely no one thought that UCLA would come out with this except for the players in the locker room and Tim Skipper and Jerry Neuheisel. So I think today we're gonna take a look at kind of the 3 takeaways that I wrote about after the game, and then we're going to look ahead to UCLA's schedule and kind of how that's shaping up, because my third takeaway has a lot to do with the path moving forward. So honestly, let's just get right into it. Right after the game, I will admit it was a little odd writing about a win. I really felt like I wasn't going to be able to write about a win this season, but thankfully enough, the UCLA came out with one of the biggest wins of the season. And so I wrote about kind of the 3 takeaways that I had, and the first one was the kind of, I would say the breakout performance by Jerry Neuheisel. On Tuesday, the UCLA and offensive coordinator Tino Sunseri mutually agreed to part ways, and Tuesday at 5 p.m., Jerry Neuheisel was named offensive play caller. He told media after the game that he was going to, or that he probably was going on 3 hours of sleep, just constantly, going through everything he can to optimize this offense against UCLA, and it looked really good. I'm going to read what I wrote about the Neuheisel game, I guess we can dub it. I titled it Jerry, because, I'll just get into it. It took just one possession for UCLA tight ends coach turned offensive play caller Jerry Neuheisel to revive Bruins fans as they chanted his name after scoring on the opening drive and grabbing the Bruins' first lead of the entire season. UCLA's offense looks cerebral and more dynamic than it had in previous games. Coming into Saturday, the Bruins were averaging 14.3 points per game. By halftime, they doubled it, taking a 27-7 lead into the locker room. As his father Rick watched on the CBS broadcast, Neuheisel recaptured his former UCLA fame by being lifted off the field as the final whistle was blown. Is this the beginning of Neuheisel's rise in the college football ranks? One could only imagine he'll be wearing a different title this time next week. So, Neuheisel put on an absolute masterclass. We could just be honest with that. UCLA's offense was more dynamic. It was more productive. They were really leaning towards, giving, which is going to be, my second takeaway, but they were giving Nico Iamaleava some time. They were getting the ball to the playmakers. They were completing short passes, and they weren't being so I guess you could say they weren't being so they weren't overdoing it on offense, which I really felt like they were doing the first 4 games going into it. That leads us into our second takeaway, which is just give Nico some time. No, literally, just give Nico some time. I wrote, it took some time, but Nico Iamaleava finally showed Bruins fans and the college football landscape what he's capable of, and all he needed was some time. No, literally, UCLA's offensive line had its best game of the season. Iamaleava had time to dial in, make passes, and effectively escape the pocket and scramble when he needed. The Bruins signal caller was among the most pressured quarterbacks in the country going into Saturday's win, which contributed to a slow start to the season. Kudos to UCLA's front 5 because it was a major factor in Iamaleava's welcome to Westwood moment. Now, Nico had a tremendous game. He finished with 5 total touchdowns, 294 total yards. And he was just kind of dialed in the entire day. I think he was 17 for 24 on his passes. He was incredible. He had a really good game. And so that leads us to kind of what the ceiling is. For UCLA, I wrote, this game without a doubt reshaped the trajectory of UCLA's season. What was once a grim, soulless start with the optics of the first winless season in program history is now back on track to what many thought it would be going into the season. Is a bowl game possible? Well, the Bruins sure axed those chances by starting 0-4, but is it impossible? Who's to say? Tim Skipper and Neuheisel may have just kickstarted a similar turnaround to last season, but with a much more talented squad. Now, if you remember last season, Deshaun Foster started 1-5, and then he turned that around and finished the season 5-7. Now, I will say it is a steeper hill to climb this year, especially because they barely got their first win, but they also started better than, Deshaun Foster and UCLA started last season. Now, UCLA does have a very tough schedule. I wrote about it today or yesterday. I wrote about it. UCLA's remaining schedule is the sixth most difficult in all of college football, according to ESPN's Football Power Index. Now, I'm not too sure if, the analytics are kind of giving more leeway to UCLA's opponents, because honestly, if UCLA played like this, like they did against Penn State the rest of the year, I could really see only two more losses on their schedule, which would be Ohio State and Indiana. Maybe, USC and Nebraska could be losses also. But, they're only 5 wins away from a bowl game. And, let's just go through the remaining opponents on UCLA's schedule and kind of how they did also in Week 6. Their next opponent is Michigan State. They're 3-2 and 0-2 in the Big Ten. They're the next team on the Bruins schedule. They just lost to Nebraska 38-27 in Lincoln. I would say it's a pretty good sign for UCLA because Michigan State has lost 2 in a row, and UCLA is taking this momentum from the Penn State game. So, it's going to be a really interesting game because UCLA has pretty much all the momentum in the world right now, and Michigan State is still reeling off 2 straight losses, especially 2 straight conference play losses. But I will say that the biggest obstacle for this game against Michigan State is that not only is it on the road, and the road has been challenging since UCLA moved to the Big Ten, but kickoff is at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That is a very early kickoff time. I know I'm going to be very tired the day I have to wake up and watch that game. So that's going to be a big obstacle for the Bruins. But we'll go ahead and see how they react to it because starting 2-1 in the Big Ten play after starting your season 0-4 is a pretty good sign of a really good turnaround. Up next, Maryland. Maryland started the season very hot. We all thought they were going to go 5-0. They played against Washington this week. They went up 20-0, and Washington just came back and crushed their dreams. But Maryland looks like a much better team than UCLA this season when they play in Week 8. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be favorited. And then we have Indiana. They're 5-0, 2-0 in Big Ten play. They had a bye this week. They've been one of the biggest risers of the college football season this year. And then after that, we have Nebraska. Nebraska obviously just beat Michigan State. Nebraska's now 4-1, 1-1 in Big Ten play. So they play the Bruins in Week 11, which is still a good ways away. Okay, and then after that we have Ohio State, probably a penned-in loss. But I did say that Penn State was going to be a penned-in loss as well. So I don't know. Who knows? But Ohio State went 5-0. They absolutely dominated Minnesota 42-3. And they're really showing no signs of slowing down. But this week is important for them. They play against number 17 Illinois. And then Washington, we already know, came back and beat Maryland. USC had a bye. They fell out of the top 25 after losing to Illinois last week. They had a bye this week, and now they have a pretty daunting schedule ahead. They host number 15 Michigan, and then after that they go on the road against number 16 Notre Dame. So USC, if things go the wrong way, could tack on a couple losses right now. They're both going to be very different teams, the Trojans and UCLA, going into their by the time we get to their matchup. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that was our takeaways and kind of the look forward for UCLA's season. I'm excited to see what they do against Michigan State. Tomorrow we'll come back with another episode. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.